Oh, hi there YouTube. It's time for another Q&A. That's right, this is a Q&A video where I've gone to my various social media networks and asked you guys and girls what you want to know. And then I answer them. Let's get started. First up is Instagram. Blue Ridge Exposure asks, do you speak any other languages? If not, how do you get around everywhere you go? Well, I do not speak any other languages. I speak a little bit of French because I learned it here in Canada in school. But basically, I use a lot of basic phrases like, hi, hello, how are you? Which way to that? How much? And then a lot of hand movements and gestures. If I am going to a country where there's not as many English native speakers or the language barrier is a lot more difficult, then normally I buy like a phrase book or just like something that I can like have on me so if I need to translate on the go really quick. But actually, surprisingly, you can travel in very many places, very many countries around the world with only English because people generally understand approximately what you're looking for. Seen Halwag asks, what do you recommend the most? Traveling with a suitcase or backpack? I think it depends on the trip that you're taking. I think it heavily depends on what the trip is because some trips I take a suitcase because I know I'm not really gonna be pushing my luggage around that much. I'm not gonna really going to too many places back and forth. And I know there won't be that big of a difference between from getting to my accommodation and like the airport for transit. I take a backpack if I'm going on a longer trip or if I'm going where I'm gonna be needing to carry my stuff around with me more, or I'm gonna be doing a little bit more rugged expeditions or a lot more walking to accommodations because I'm doing it a more El Cheapo way. This is kind of like a follow-up question. S. Fairbrothers asks, have you ever done a Contiki? Yes, 14 of them actually. And hard suitcase pros and cons compared to a soft. So when it comes to Contikis or any kind of group tour, I would say hard suitcases and rolly suitcases. You really don't need a backpack on any kind of the group tours. Generally, the transportation is organized pretty like close to your hotel. That's one of the benefits of being in a group tour is that they can literally bring the transportation like the bus to the front of your hotel, so you don't need to bring a backpack and you don't need like a rolly bag is perfectly fine for any kind of travel like Contikis or anything like that. Thomas J. Dobson asks, flights are expensive in Canada. Yes, they are. They're ridiculously expensive in Canada. How would I save as much as possible on a trip to Asia and Europe? One of the biggest things I did when saving is, well, two of the biggest things I did when saving was one, was sort out my accommodation. So I moved back in with my parents so I could save on rent. Oh my gosh, if you are renting a place, if you have the option to move back in with your parents or maybe get a roommate or figure out how to pay less money for your rent, that is a huge way you can save up a bunch of money in a short period of time. Another option is selling your stuff. Do you know how much stuff you have? You probably have a ton of stuff you are not using. Electronics, sporting goods, clothing, random objects that are actually quite valuable. Ladders. That's right. Do you have some ladders in a garage? Sell them. All those things add up to hundreds of dollars. No joke. I have saved for trips by just Craigslisting a ton of my stuff, and it's brilliant because I don't have to get another job and I don't have to move anywhere. Literally just get rid of stuff I am not using. Becky Roberts 789D asks, do you ever want to have company when traveling or prefer traveling alone? It's a bit of both, to be honest. I really, as I've been traveling for a while now, I've been traveling for a long time, I'm starting to really want to travel with more people, with more friends. Then when I first started traveling, I did a bunch more solo trips. I did a lot more stuff by myself. Now, because I've been traveling so long, I know I'm at the point where I'm like, I want to share my experiences with people and I enjoy the company and I'm more comfortable with my traveling that I can kind of like navigate us as a team through wherever we're going. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Amserv asks, how do you prevent the locals from deceiving you, quoting extreme prices, etc.? So, yes, it's not okay. I don't want to use the term scamming because a lot of places, locals will charge foreigners a higher rate. There's not much you can do about it, to be honest. The biggest thing I would say is maybe talk to people that aren't in the tourist areas about what the actual rate you should be charged for things. It's something you just kind of got to accept, and know that yes, as a foreigner, you're probably going to be paying a little bit more for something. The same goes in your hometown. Probably if somebody was vacationing or visiting your hometown, they're going to be staying at the touristy restaurants, which are higher price, or they're going to be doing activities like tourist activities, which are higher price than the probably local activities. You know, it's just, this happens everywhere. As a tourist, you are just gonna pay more than a local. That's why there's so much information on like trying to get the local deals, the insider tips, etc. It's talking to people, asking around. It's a whole lot of that. But I just accept it, and I try to just find out the price beforehand. Like, learning how to barter and bargain and negotiate is a huge skill as a traveler that you need to perfect in your traveling experiences. Not like settling on the first price and just kind of getting a sense of approximately what it'll be. The second part of this question is, I think it's supposed to be how do you get enough sleep when you are constantly skipping time zones? I honestly feel like my body's just adjusted to it. It's just like used to just being completely and totally out of whack, and jet lag rarely affects me. The only time it really affects me is when I am going from North America to Europe. I find that the hardest time zone, so like Pacific time zone to European Central time zone, I just end up waking up really early at like 4 a.m. and it sucks. There's not much I can do about it. That's the one that only really affects me. Not going backwards, not going to Asia. Sometimes when I just go even just 3 hours, like if I'm just getting to, if I'm going from specific time zone to Eastern time zone, I have a little bit of an issue with that time zone. I just end up not being able to fall asleep until a little bit later, which is not a huge deal, but my body never really knows what time it is actually. It sleeps when it needs to sleep, and everything else is kind of squished in between that. JMW777 asks, since you've seen many parts of the world, why do you stay in Canada? I'm not saying it's bad, by the way. And would I ever consider moving? Why and where? I have moved to places before. I moved to New Zealand, I moved to London before, and they were amazing trips, fantastic, and I will probably do several more trips and moves abroad. At the moment, I'm just comfortable in Canada at the moment. I've got my family, I've got my cats, and it's nice to have a little bit of a break because there's a lot of work that's involved with what I do, a lot of work that's involved with the travel videos, and also like I do my sponsored videos where my sponsored videos help fund my travel videos. So thank you if you've been watching those videos, and anytime I do a sponsored video, thank you so much for supporting me with that, for liking it. If you leave a comment on it, I really do appreciate it, because those videos help me fund my travels, help me do this full time, and without them I wouldn't be able to do this as a full-time job. So it's kind of like a give or take. I try to balance it as much as I can on my channel with doing sponsored content and then doing awesome travel content, and you need both of them to succeed as a YouTuber. And that's not just like me saying that, that's like every YouTuber there is out there. To balance this, you need to do a bit of sponsored and you need to do a bit of your own stuff, and that's how you have this symbiosis of things that work together. So thank you if you do watch those sponsored videos and you support me for those. I appreciate it. But to do all those, I need to kind of have a home base, and I do that here in Canada, and it's been really great because I've been traveling for so long. I mean, I've been traveling and I've been on the road since 2010. That's a long time, back and forth and constantly traveling multiple trips a year. It can get a bit tiring, and I've said this before in other videos that I never ever want to take travel for granted, and I always want to be excited about each and every single destination that I go to. And if I'm constantly on the road, if I'm constantly traveling, I lose a bit of that excitement and I get a bit tired, and then my content suffers and myself like physically suffers a bit. I mean, like, it's tiring on you, and I end up just not being in the right mindset that I have, and I might not be enjoying the place that I'm visiting as much. And when I'm not enjoying the place I'm visiting as much, then I'm not showcasing it properly to you guys and gals that are watching my videos, and I never really want to get to that point. So I think it's really important, as I continue to do this full time as a job, that I have balance. So balance in doing like home time in Canada, where I can produce these type of videos, these sit down videos, these advice videos, which I know that you've been enjoying. I know you guys really appreciate the type of advice videos that I'm producing. So I could do those, and then I can go off and do my travels which are coming again in the fall. On that note, there are a lot of questions that I get in regards to my job, how I do this full time, how to be a travel vlogger, how to be a travel videographer, and if you were following my channel a few months ago, you know that I launched a e-course. So it is a full-on professional e-course that myself and my fellow travel videographer friend Kristen Sarah put together. It's part of a superstar blogging school with Nomadic Matt. He's one of the top travel bloggers out there. It is an amazing course. We've had such great feedback from all of our students. We have over 60 students already registered in the course, and we're getting more and more each day. So I'm gonna leave the links down below in my description, and you can find out more about the course that we put together. But there's a reason I'm not answering my video specific questions, and I'm not answering the super technical aspects of how I do certain things as a job and all that, because I have answered them. I've done literally a 10-hour course on all the information that's involved with doing travel videos and being a travel vlogger in this course. So if you are interested, I will leave the links down below. You can check it out and find out more information about that. S Rosie 21 asks, do I recommend any destinations for a first-time traveler and why? I highly recommend New Zealand or Australia for a first-time traveler. New Zealand was actually my first big destination. It is the perfect destination. 1, if your native language is English, it's English. 2, everyone is super freaking nice. 3, it's not too big, like it's not crazy big or overwhelming, it's just the perfect size. 3, they have, wait, I think I'm on 4. 4, they have amazing travel and tourism infrastructure. Like they've got amazing, great hostels, they've got great Airbnbs, hotels, every option of accommodation possible, plus the transportation system. So there's hop on, hop off buses, there's full tours that you can take, that they organize everything. And 5, it's just an amazing country that you can literally do and see everything you want to. So I highly recommend New Zealand. First time traveler, New Zealand. I mean, Australia is a little bit like that as well, but New Zealand hands down. Twitter! Amanda! So Amanda, 28 Mouse Ears asks, hi Nadine, I love your videos. Thank you, Amanda. Do I have any advice for traveling with friends, like cost, itineraries, etc.? Traveling with friends is a whole other ballgame because you need to learn the art of compromising, because you will shortly realize that every single person you're traveling with, 1, has a different idea and plan of what they want to see and do in each place that you're going to, and 2, has a different, I would say, stamina when it comes to traveling. And that's a hard one to get to because I'm like an Energizer bunny when I travel. I can literally walk all day, I can do a ton of stuff, I can go boom, 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 and rack up my entire day full of stuff too. Other people can do like 1 or 2 things max, and then they're tired, they want to sit down, and if they do any more than that, then their experience is not really going to be that enjoyable for them. Learning where everybody's stamina is in the group is very important, so you're not pushing people too hard and they're not enjoying themselves, and you're not slowing people that really want to be like hitting a bunch of stuff up each day. And I'm doing that. So if you can break up into, like if you're a big group, like try and break up into mini groups. That always works to kind of determine each of your paces. And then don't be afraid to go off and do your own adventures. Like really don't be afraid to leave your group of friends you're traveling with and go and do your own adventure for a day. If there's something you really want to see and do, just go do it, because you're going to regret it if you don't. Also, huge tip here is get a sharing app, a cost sharing app. There are 2 that I heavily recommend. One is called Receipt Ninja. You can get that on Android devices, and the other one is called Splitwise. It will change your life. They are apps that will keep tallies in multiple currencies of all the things that you are spending on your trip. Like, and so if one person can pay for a whole meal, and then you can like tally it all up, and so at the end of your trip you just have to like settle, you can settle the bills at the end when it's all dealt with, so you're not dealing with like trying to settle each single bill all the time, because money is going to be a huge issue when you're traveling with friends. So get a money splitting app. Links down below if you needed more information. Alright, Facebook! Karen Caesar asked a very tricky question. Alright, Karen Caesar. Remember on live chat I asked you what to tell border control if you aren't sure how long you'll be in a country. So first off, you need to know how long you're gonna be in a country. you can't just, unfortunately, you can't just go to a country and just be like, I'm just gonna stay for I don't know how long. There are limits regarding, so depending on what passport you have and what country you're from, there are time limits of how long you can visit each country, and all of that varies. Don't go past that time limit. It is very, very bad. You will get deported or worse. Don't do it. A lot of times in lots of countries, mainly like in South American countries, smaller countries, they require an exit ticket. Australia, for example, requires an exit ticket, meaning that you have to show that you are indeed planning on leaving the country. US requires an exit ticket. So you need to have approximately a time. Of course, you can always change it. So if your schedule changes, you can push that ticket back or push it forward. That's why it's good to get a changeable ticket, so you might have to pay a little bit more, but you have that flexibility to change your ticket. And I have been stuck at airports before, literally having to buy a return ticket last minute, literally in front of the ticketing agent, buying myself a ticket leaving the country because I didn't know this going in. So please, please, please check the country that you're going in if you have to have a exit ticket and what the time limit on that you can legally stay in the country for. Maria Delman asks, what tour group would you recommend for someone 30 years of age? There's a longer bit of this question, but I'm gonna answer that question. So I've traveled with many different types of tour groups. Contiki is an amazing tour group if you are, I would say, between 18 and 27, 28. They go to 35. But it depends on the trip. There are different styles. So the budget trips of Contikis tend to be a lot more geared to younger travelers, and the more higher end, the more like premium product, they have a more like slower pace, a more superior tour. Those tend to gear more toward the older age group, the higher end of the bracket. Another really good one is Intrepid. They gear kind of more toward that middle of that like 25 to 40-year-old range. Maybe I would say the maximum is probably on the 45-year-old level. I think that's kind of it's the middle range. You do get some younger and you do get some older, but that's a really good one for that. Aside from that, I've done a lot of Evi tours. Those are kind of varied because there's no age limit or a thing for that. So I think it depends what you're going to and what region. Do a lot of research. Generally, you can kind of get an idea on the website where what their target market is, and if you fall in their target market, like their advertisement looks like you, then you're probably going to be okay on that tour. Alright, so I've answered a lot of your questions. I hope you've gained some insight on that, because I try to be as helpful as I can to you. There was a lot of questions, so I can't possibly get to all of them, but I hope that the ones I did answer are kind of insightful and have helped you in some way or another. Thank you so much for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tips and advice and Q&As and travel videos. I do a lot of stuff on my channel, so subscribe to it. It's awesome, and I will see you guys and girls again in a few days' time with another video. Bye!